Umadevi has completed architect in Tyagaraja College of Engineering, Madurai. She has presented papers at International Joint Studio Venture with Columbia University about resortation of Vaigai River City project. She has received the title of Enthusiastic Participant Award for the consecutive years during academics. Her dissertation project on critical analysis on urban street culture in a mixed-use present is about to publish by Lambert University. She is currently working as a junior architect at 101 Design Studios, which is the green and growing architecture firm handling projects ranging from schools, farmhouses, sports complexes to hotels, malls and office buildings.
Welcome to UGC lecture series. Here we are going to present Professional Practice and Ethics, which is of AR 6703. And this is about Unit 2, Architect Service and the Scale of Fees. Here are the outlines. Mode of engaging an architect, comprehensive services, partial services and special services, scope of work of an architect, schedule of services and scale of fees, which is under COA norms, mode of payments, terms and conditions of engagements. So this is the outcomes that we are probably expecting. So this is how a mode of engaging an architect will be. The function of the finished project, who will use it and for what, visualize these activities and how they can be accommodated in the new space. Your motivations and expectations, what does the client hope to achieve from this project? So in short and long term, a design direction contrasting or keeping with existing buildings, contemporary or traditional, favorable finishes or materials or textures, authority for decision making, who will sign off decisions about design, about cost and about day-to-day matters at site. So timetables and budgets like the schemes, when should key work stages are completed, cost and financing. So the schemes, so these is an architects can be engaged. So how are you going to add your values to the projects? How are you going to pave way for the successful delivery? How to develop a sound working relationship with the client? Time spent in preliminary discussions, requirement analysis, and time schedule and budget, nature and cost of professional services required, the total cost. These are the important things which will make good relationship with the clients. So keep on tracking with these strategies. Investing the feasibility of the requirements, developing the design proposals, applying for the statutory approvals, preparing construction informations, obtaining tenders for building works, analysis of the tenders, pre-qualifications, negotiations, awards, administrating a building contract. This is how an architect can be engaged in the form, and this is how he can be detailed up, like the appraisals, identifications of the client's needs and the objectives, business case and the possible constraints on development. So it's like the concept making. He should be aware of the request and the client needs in order to satisfy a concept. So this is important to identify the client's need and objective at this appraisal stage itself. Preparation of the feasibility studies and assessments of the options to enable the client to decide whether to proceed or not. Then the second important stage is this designing a brief. Development of the client's initial statement of requirements into a design brief by or on or behalf of the client's conforming key requirement and constraints. So identification of this procurement method is important as procedures, organizational structures and the range of consultants and other to be engaged on the project. So this is important strategies to design a brief in order to make set of every other steps in order to create a brief for the client's need. So the client's need will be listed out like that and the brief will be making it ready. There we go, start up with the concept stage. So implementation of design brief and input to the project brief. So this will be having the direct link to the concept, yes, the client's need again. preparation of a concept design, including outline proposals for the structural and building service systems, outline specs and prelims, cost plans, review of the procurement route. And students, this is how your staffs always wanted to have a conceptual plan before you getting into AutoCADs or drafting straight away. So keep having the conceptual habits of scheming first. So design development, preparation of a developed design to include the structural and building services systems, update your outline specs and cost plans, completion of the project's brief, application of the detailed planning approvals. This is how a design will get developed. So preparation is the main scheme. From the concept stage, you should be sitting along, and to get the scheme, you should be properly and regularly worked to arrive at a design, including the BOQs, because you should be assisting the spec guys. So cost plans, completions of the project's briefs will be helping in the design development stage. So technical designs, preparation of technical designs and specs sufficient to coordinate components and elements of the project, and informations for the statutory standards and construction safety. So this is one important agenda. While you have technical design, you should be sitting and scheming these type of technical designs and specs. So preparation of documents. Preparation of documents sufficient to enable tenders and obtain tenders. So this preparation of document stage is what we going to see in our future chapters about tenders and contracts will be coming, and that time this documentation preparation will be the basic core for every scheme. Application for the statutory proposals, approvals and more. So preparation of further information for the construction and required under the building contract. This is how documents will be prepared. So tender documentation is something preparation and or a collation of a tender documentation in sufficient detail to enable a tender or tender to be obtained for the project. So tender action, identification and evaluation of a potential contractors and or the specialist for the project. So obtaining and appraising of the tenders, submission of the recommendations to the clients. So this is one tender action. This will be leading after this tender documentation. So the documentation will be leading to the actions. So every schemes will be reflecting towards your project, and this is seen right here. So documentation will lead to the action, and this action of submission will recommend it to the clients. So mobilization is the next thing. Letting the building contract, appointing the contractor. Yes, this is how it goes and works on the side. Issuing the informations to the contractors at regular scheme. Arranging the handovers to the contractors. So everything you have to see to it, like every single details that you draw at your office should reach the contractor in order to keep up the progress sequentially. So construction to practical completion, administration of the building contract to practical completion, provision to the contractor of the further information as when you reasonably require, review the information provided by the contractor and specialist. So this practical completion will be happen only if you keep on tracking the construction scheming and the mobilization from along and from the detailed scheme towards its product. So the practical completion is one, review of information provided by the construction and specialties so far. So post practical completion, administration of the building contract after practical completion and making final inspectors, assisting buildings users during install occupation period. So post occupation evaluation is review of the project performance in use. So keep on tracking your practical completion methods. These are the services offered by an architect. There are three types of services, which is of comprehensive services, partial services and special services. So here we are going to classify and explore the details of these three services first. Comprehensive services is thing. COS stipulates the parameters within which the architect is required to function and are applicable to all the architects, and such architects who have specialized in areas such as structural design, urban design, city planning, landscape architecture, interior architecture, architectural conservation. So these are the general terms and specialization under this comprehensive services where one architect can play. And there we go with the comprehensive services, and that out comes the summary. Taking client's instruction and preparing a design brief that will lead you to the positive happy home. Site evaluation, analysis and impact on the immediate environment. Design and site development and structural design. Sanitary, plumbing, draining, water supply and sewage design. Electrical, electronics, communication systems and designs. HVAC elevators, escalators, etc. Fire detectors, fire protection and security systems. Periodic evaluation and inspection of the construction works. So all these things should be happening in hand in order to get the services done at the piece. So comprehensive services is the one when you consider as the interior architectural perspective. This primary objective is to generate the purposeful ambience that will stimulate the user's creative potentiality, protect the user from the extreme of weather, also to nurture the emotionally. Aim is to meld the interiors and exteriors into symbolic relationship through scale, volumes, lights and scale and human perspective. Interior spaces must be designed to fulfill the fundamental functional and aesthetical needs that make the interiors efficient and pleasant to live and work in, of course. Development of design is a very conscious act and it infuses life into interiors subconsciously. So we should be designed in such a way so our interiors reflect the peace to our soul. So comprehensive services, allied fields, interior architecture, landscape architecture, architectural conservation, retrofitting of building, graphic designing and signage. So these are the allied fields of which a comprehensive services comprises of. So comprehensive services again with the architectural interior when we go, site evaluation and assessment, interior design, space planning and the volumetric study, architectural additions and alterations, interior related civil works, design of fixed items to work with and loose furnitures, illumination designs, sound and acoustic design, graphic design, indoor plantscapings, selection of materials and more, integration of all the engineering services, periodic inspection of evaluating and work at site, questions and answers and compiling of the Q&Cs and A. Comprehensive services, landscape architecture. When we deals with the analysis, planning and designing management, preservation and rehabilitations of land, capable of producing an ecological sensitive design which is self-sustainable, integrates from the very conception the elements of architecture, urban design and the civil engineering, covers a wide spectrum ranging from landscaping, planning at the regional scale and the private ones, offices, plazas, public squares and highways, cities, parks. So this is how the landscape architecture works, and the comprehensive services which is going in the hand is site appraisals, suitability, site planning, land form and grading, because it's to be simply called the contours. So the surface aim, the drainage design and water management, irrigation design and planting design, open space design, hard and soft areas, landscape structure and features, garden feature design, so illumination design, graphic design and signage. There are so much periodic inspections and evaluations at the site. So these are the main services that will be holding when you are an architecture landscape, then this will be happening. When the comprehensive services for an urban designer, which will be the architecture of the cities, highly complex and gargantuan in scale, like that gigantic it will be. Primary aim of the urban design is to imbibe and maintain a sense of identity and harmony among the building. Yes, when you look at into a city and missing out the harmony, and what is the meaning of urban cities it is called. So it is important to build the open spaces and other structures by the means of pleasant and memorable visual imaginary throughout the length and breadth of an urban setting. Yes, it is a city. Volumetric relationship, harmonious spatial sequences, transition from the buildings to the open spaces, streetscapes and services, infrastructures, must go along to create a townscape with exclusive imagery. So, this is how it works for the urban designer. Taking client's instruction and preparing the design brief. Design brief will play major role in urban designing. Site evaluation analysis of architectural character, social issues and heritage. Feasibility study. Preliminary proposal for development, redevelopment and their impact on the immediate environment. Volumetric study and urban form recommendation including pedestrian, vehicular movement and parking. So, architectural control and guidelines, conceptual design of the site development and their interconnectivity. So, the landscape architectural design is also coming in now. Architectural conservation will be happening since we need to preserve our culture. So, graphic design and signages, this is comprises of urban design. There we goes. After the comprehensive services, there is this partial service. Partial services is full services, concept design, design development, development application, construction certificates, documentation, contract admin and site works. This is called a full package and it's called full services. Partial service. While this is the term used when not all the above stages are completely by the architect, but use an architect concept design and design development and leave the development application and approval process at the third party. This can be happen, yes, you need not to do all the part of an architect do. You can assign a project manager, of course a concept designer and a draftsman to work and perform your jobs. To save an architectural fees, the client may take a full architectural services but may leave the contract admin and site works. Yes, in order to save your fees, this is the thing clients will be doing to you. So, there are certain special services also. These are the special things. Pre-designed services, which will be pre-designed and you need to take upon and that's it. Post-construction services like the debris and disposables like that. Site development services will be renovating on more. Materials and system testing. Promotion of the PR and documentation services, architectural conversations, IDs and design services. Yes, it is the interior designing and designing services, totally interiors it will be. Project admin and CM services, expert witnesses and computer application, urban design and research. This is what the special services will be holding on. The special services, pre-designed services and post-construction services, it can be divided into this way. So, the pre-decision will be facilities programming, feasibility studies. Yes, we need to be having a feasibility study before we perform any design at any site. So, existing site and facility analysis, traffic and parking studies, existing equipments and furniture inventories. We need to calculate the amount of estimation for the furniture in future. This will be helping to cut short the furniture expenses. Energy analysis. So, master programming and planning, environmental studies, space schematics, flow diagrams, marketing studies, financial analysis, project financing, advisor for architectural. This is what the pre-designed service is happening. And if we go and see it in the other hand of post-construction services, the commission services, post-occupancy studies, O&M programming, building maintenance manuals, post-occupancy evaluations. This will be happening in the post-construction services. And this is what when we site development services. So, at the point of site development stage, this will be the things happening at the site. Site analysis and selection, site development planning and site plan agreement, detailed site utilization study, on and off site utility study, environmental studies and reports, zoning and the land use agreements, geotechnical engineering, site surveying, legal survey and landscape designs. And when you are at the material and system test, procurement of the testing results and review of the analysis of the tests, it will be happen in order to know the quality and survey of the material. When you are in the promotion of PR, this will be preparation of the press release, promotional brochures, public meetings, leasing materials, advertisings, models, renderings, presentations, and yes, this will all be the pull factors to the clients to buy your product or to grow more. Then This is the documentation service. We'll be preparing a special certificate, certified areas, and preparing the measure drawings, building inspections, and more about the photography, still photographies and existing conditions, photography and video, computer DB, and inventory of material, furnishings, and equipments. This is what will be happening when you are documenting services. Then architectural conservations. We all know about historic buildings documentation, renovation, retrofitations, everything will be come under this architectural conservations. So there will be the conservation reports coming out. And then when we check about this ID services, interior design services, it is space planning and adaptation of M&E systems, and to the preparation of furnishing requirements, purchasing procedures, furniture equipments, and special furnishings, tenant related services, interiors. While talking about the interiors, there will be more about the movable stuff such as furnitures, lightings, and more, because this skill gives the life to every interior design. So there we go. And special services such as project admin and CM services. Project admin and CM services is something which will be project admitting and checking and consulting, like submitting every services, owner supply, data coordination, like data collecting. He'll be scheduling and scheduling the development, monitoring, testing and inspection admin, supplemental documentation, admin of multiple contracts, detailed cost estimation, life cycle cost analysis, etc., including the managing stuff. Then expert witness is another thing of special service which is coming under. This will be testimonially at the court or hearing, opinion on the codes or regulations. This is so lawful, and that goes expert witness. Computer application is thing, computer rendering, it's so digitalized, and 3D computer representations, walkthroughs and electronic representations, administrations and project scheduling, project accounting, everything will be computerized. So urban design is thing, streetscape design, drafting and zoning, shadow studies in order to design where to give the shades, natural shades and artificial shades. Urban design studies, wind studies, land use studies, transportation studies have to be made if it is a urban design. So research. When we talk about research in construction materials and methods, building envelope investigations. So this is what the study about the architect's role, and now it is about the scope of work an architect. So scope of an architect's work from conception to the completion and beyond. Under the COS guideline, the architect, after taking instructions from the client, render services under the following stages: client's brief, concept designs, preliminary drawings and designs, drawings of the client, working drawings and rendered drawings, appointment of the contractors, constructions, reports it will be. And these are the 7 stages of scope work of an architect. So client brief and retainer. When we talk about this, client's requirement is that architect should ascertain the client's requirement of the project, and site visits would be often in order to give strength to the client's visit that the architect is constantly working and give him in peace. So examine the codes, legislations and standards, requirement list in an agreement with the client as programs of the requirements, condition of the engagement, scope of works, letter of appointments, enter into an agreement, fees payable, advance paid a retainer of Indian rupees 20,000 or 5% of the total fees payable, whichever is higher, as a token of intent. So concept designing is the stage 1. Site evaluation is the first thing. Survey of the site should be done, and soil test is the must in order to freeze the site and stability of the soil. Rough cost estimation is the one main brief that every client need at the stage 1. So fees payable will be 10% of the total cost at the moment. Then stage 2 will incorporate changes in the drawings as the client's need or the site condition. The changes should be done. Preliminary drawings will be providing, and the preliminary cost estimate, which will further gives the basic idea of the fees. So fees payable by this now is 20% of the total fees payable less the payment made at the stage 1. So fees payable here at 35% of the total fees payable less the payment of the stage 1 and 2 happen. So stage 3 will be drawings for the approval from the statutory authorities, incorporate the client's suggestions and prepare drawings necessary for the approval from the client's statutory authorities. So here the fees payable will be 35% of the total fees payment less the payment made at stage 1 and stage 2. So at the point of stage 3, we will be paying 35% of the total fees for the architect. Then provide into the consultant with all necessary info to allow them to perform their specialist work. So list of contractors, prepare a short list of suitable contractors with appropriate justification will be happening. Tender documents will be leaving here. So fees payable at this stage will be 45% of the fees payable less payment than the stage 1 to 3. Then assessment of the contractors. So this is one stage where you appoint the contractors for the tender document. So at this stage 55% of the fees can be payable. So at the construction stage there will be BOQs supplying all over the site and the site supervisors and samples. Site visits will be happening. By this stage, fees payable is 90% of the total fees payable lesser than the payment from the stages 1 to 5. So at the site 6, when we split up and see what are all the percentage of fees one architect can get from the client at every point of scheme will be listed here. On the completion of 20% of work, 70% of the total fees payable less payment already made at stage 1 to 6. So like this, on the completion of 80% of the work, 85% of the total fees payable less payment already made from the stage 1 to 6 as we see before. So on the virtual completion, 90% of the total fees will be payable less payment than already made from 1 to 6 stages. So these are the general reports like completion reports, occupancy certificates, as built drawings, fees payable should be withhold with the client. So general reports will be scheduled of payments at stage 1 and stage 2 and stage 5 to 6 and stage 7. What will be the cost? This will be the things on rough cost estimate at the stage 1, preliminary cost at the stage 2 to 4 and accepted tender cost 5 to 6 and actual total cost should be paid at the stage of 7. So these are the scale of fee payment mode. And mode, when we talk about the mode, COA has prescribed professional charges under the Architects Regulation 1989. So stipulate the minimum mandatory scale of the professional charges with the intention of making the client fully aware of the fees. This is how the architect is paid the fees. That fee structures will be the percentage amount, which can be further studied as minimum payable fees, negotiation fees and social fees, lump sum fees and the consultant's fees. So minimum will be as per the clients can give the architect as a token of gift, or negotiable fees is the works containing in the Indian rupees like 14L or the professional fees between the client and the architect for any amount. So social and slum is something in a view of importance, fees are negotiable. So lump sum will be like the client will be frozen to contractors. So consultant fees will be that fees can be paid in the consultant amount. So this is how the deductions will be. Use of the materials, curtailment of the architectural services. So fee structures will be other taxes and charges. The client shall reimburse the following actuals: the fares of outstation visits, lodging, cost of prospecting, everything should be included at this stage. So this is how the scale of fees will be going. This is how the payment mode is happening to the architect at different stages shall be through a check with the proper deduction of ST, TDS and retentions. So this is how the scale will be. For example, you can see to it at any time, I think, with the housing cost and all the projects of cost, at any time you can check with this data where which person should be getting at what stage. And this is how the terms of conditions of engagement will be looking like. For example, starting from the name box to the amount you should be paying and work it where like this much amounts should be filled, and once you're done with your amounts of terms and conditions of the engagement. And there we go, guys. This is how the outcomes of this study. So I hope the students will be understand about to know more about the mode of engaging an architect, detailed knowing about the services, communications and comprehensive services and about the 3 services, to explore the scope of work of an architect, schedule of services, to explore the scale of fees, which is important and unknowingly for the most of students, which is miracle too, like how much fees they're gonna get in future. So this is the questions possibly it can be asked. What are the types of services it's happening under this comprehensives? So what is the scale of fees at stage 4? This will be helping you to get in the mind. And what is called the tender documentation and more. This will be helpful, I guess. And this is the presentation totally about the context, and thank you.